This is lesson 39, and we'll be discussing the natural sign and accidental.
Turning to J. Albrecht's Ready to Read Music. We're in Unit 3, which is our pitch unit, Lesson 8, Natural Sign and Accidentals. Sometimes, even with a key signature, flats and sharps have to be added in a piece of music. Look at this piece of music, which has flats in the key signature and sharps in front of several of the notes. So let's just review what this key signature means first of all. We have a B flat and an E flat in the key signature. Remember, battle ends and down goes Charles's father. So these are the first two flats in that saying. And this key signature applies to all the notes that follow on the staff. So this is a B, but it's actually going to be a B flat. And this is an E, but because of the key signature, it's actually going to be an E flat. And this is another B, and because of the key signature, it's actually going to be a B flat. Suppose a composer wrote a song with a key signature of 2 sharps, but wanted this note to be an F instead of an F sharp. So again, let's just look at our key signature. We have an F sharp and a C sharp. Father Charles. Father Charles goes down and ends battle is the order of sharps in the key signature. So if we only have 2 sharps, there'll be F and C. Father Charles. So that means that all the Fs in this piece right now are sharps. F sharp. This is another F sharp. This note here will be a C, and because of the key signature, it's a C sharp. If the composer wanted this F sharp to actually be an F natural instead, he would place a different musical symbol called a natural in front of the F like this. A natural tells a music reader not to sing or play the flat or sharp shown in the key signature. In this example, the note in the box is called an F natural. I don't know about you, but I don't see a box, so I think they intended to have a box right here. The natural sign erases the F sharp in the key signature, but only for that one measure. First of all, let's just look at how to draw a natural. We draw sort of a sloped L, and then we draw the opposite of that here. When sharps, flats, and natural signs are placed throughout a piece of music, they are called accidentals. So here's an example of an accidental. It's a sharp, flat, or natural sign placed in front of a note, but not as part of the key signature. Here's another accidental. Here's another accidental. Here's an accidental. And here's an accidental. Accidentals last for one measure. In other words, accidentals are erased by a bar line. So this is a really important distinction between the effect of sharps and flats in a key signature versus sharps and flats that are just placed in front of notes as accidentals. Sharps and flats that appear in the key signature will apply to every note that follows on the staff unless they're canceled out by an accidental. So for example, because there's an F sharp in the key signature, this F will be sharp. And because there's a C in the key signature, this C will be sharp. Everything else by default is natural. Natural just means not sharp or flat. And the only time we actually show the natural symbol is when we use it to cancel out a sharp or a flat. Returning to the point about accidentals lasting only for one measure. What this means is that a composer can put a flat right here in front of this B, and for that one measure, from then on, for everything that follows up until here, if there's another B, it will also be flat. You'll notice it doesn't affect the notes that came before it. So this here is actually a B natural. We don't write a natural in front of it because there's no need to. By default, it's just a plain old B. You can think of natural as a word for plain, just normal B. Once this flat sign meets a bar line, right here, it is tossed out the window. We don't honor it anymore. As soon as we see a bar line, we're back to just adhering to the key signature unless we see another accidental. So that is why by here, when we have a B, it's just a B natural, a normal B. We don't need a natural sign in front of it because that's its default. Now we see another accidental, and the accidental is a natural sign. Why would we need a natural sign here? Well, because of the key signature. As of now, the C's all have to be sharp on this staff because of the key signature. But if the composer wants that specific pitch of a C natural, he can create that. He just needs to put a natural sign in front of the C to cancel out the sharp sign. You notice that he doesn't have to put a natural sign in front of the B, and that's because there's nothing to cancel out. The B isn't affected by the key signature. So by default, this B already is natural. We don't have to mark that as such. Natural signs are only used to cancel out a key signature or a previously occurring accidental. Here's another accidental, and this is a G sharp. And remember that the bar line or measure line cancels out an accidental. So even though this is a C natural here, as soon as we hit the bar line, that natural sign is canceled out, and we're back to C sharp because that is what we see in the key signature. What note is in the box? Circle the correct answer. Okay, so first of all, we're in the treble clef, and we have one sharp. Father Charles goes down and ends battle. This is an F sharp. Note we have a time signature of 2/4. The top number tells us how many beats there are in a measure, so 2 beats per measure. And the bottom number tells us what kind of note value is our beat or pulse note. So in this case, you can think of the 4 as the denominator of a fraction. It tells us that a quarter note is our beat or pulse note. So we have a G. We know that because we're in the treble or G clef, and this curly Q action helps us know that the note on line 2 is an important note. That is our G, and from there we can decode all the other pitches. So if this is G, we have A in this space. This next pitch would be a B. We have a measure line because there are 2 beats in this measure, and that's complete now with 2 quarter notes. And then we have a D here. We step up to E in the space, and so this final note is an F, but not just any F. It's an F sharp because of the sharp in the key signature. So this is an F sharp, therefore this is the correct answer. We have no key signature this time. Our time signature tells us that we have 3 beats per measure, and for our bottom note, we could think of it as the denominator of a fraction. It helps us remember that an 8th note is our beat or pulse note. We have again a G. The next space would be an A. We're ascending one more pitch to B. You'll notice there's a flat in front of it, so that's an accidental, and that will be a B flat. Then we have another G, and now we have another B, but because of the measure line, the flat has been canceled. We're back to the key signature, which has no sharps or flats, so this is just a plain old B, so we're going to circle this one. We're in the bass clef now. Remember, it's called the bass or F clef. These dots help us know that line 4 is an important spot. That's our F, and so our key signature has an F sharp and a C sharp in it. Our time signature is 4/4 time, so the top number tells us there are 4 beats in the measure. And the bottom 4 tells us that a quarter note is our beat or pulse note. So if this is F, this next step up would be G, and then F, but not just any F, an F sharp because of the key signature. Then we have a G, but there's a sharp in front of it. We have an accidental here, so it's a G sharp. And you'll note that this sharp did not act retroactively on that G. It would only apply to everything that follows up until it hits the bar line. And then our next pitch is an E. Then we skip up from E over F, G, and up to A. And then we have another G. Well, what kind of G should it be? Well, there's no G sharp in the key signature. And the bar line here canceled out the sharp we had over here. So we're just back to a G natural, a normal G. Our next example is again in the bass clef, and we have battle ends and the first three flats, so B flat, E flat, and A flat. Our time signature tells us that we have 3 beats per measure, and our bottom 4 tells us that a quarter note will be our beat or pulse note. Our first pitch here will be an E, but not just any E, it's an E flat because of the key signature. Following that, we have to skip down quite a ways, so we're going to descend through the musical alphabet. We start on E flat, then D, C, B, A, G. So here's our G. And then we step up to an A, and this will be an A flat because we have a B flat, an E flat, and an A flat in the key signature. And then we have an A natural. This natural sign cancels out the flat from the key signature. And then we have a B, it's a B flat because of the key signature. So the correct answer here is an A natural. Using half notes, draw the following notes in the treble clef. There will be more than one correct answer. So remember, in the treble or G clef, our second line here is our G, and from there we can decode all the other letter names. Now, because there's no key signature, we could actually get away with just drawing a B like this. And this would be, by default, a B natural. Natural is just code for normal, not affected by a sharp or a flat. But I think what they're going for here is to have us practice drawing our accidentals. So we're going to put a natural sign in front of that B. Let's move on to D sharp. This would be our C, and here's our D. So we're just going to put a half note, which is an open note head with a stem going down and on the left. And we put a sharp in front of that. I put it right on line 4. And then we're going to go up to the next space. That will be our E. And this is an E flat. After that, we have an E natural. And I'm going to write an E natural here. And here's our natural sign. There's another E natural down here. And the distance between these two E naturals would be 1 octave because they're 8-letter names apart. And then we need an A flat. So we're going to just step up from this low E to an F, G, A. Here's our A. And we'll draw our little flat sign, which is our slanted little B. Using quarter notes, draw the following notes in the bass clef. So we're in the bass or F clef. We're supposed to draw quarter notes, so we're going to need a filled-in note head with a stem. And if this is our F, I'm just going to step up to a G right here. And that'll be a G sharp, so we'll need an accidental in front of that. Then a C, so we're going to descend through our musical alphabet. G, F, E, D, C. Here's a C we can use. Stem will go up and on the right, and we need a C sharp. And then let's descend again to our next note, our F natural. So C, B, A, G, F. We're just below the staff on an F. And again, because there's no key signature, technically we actually don't need to write this as an F natural. We don't need the natural sign because by default it is an F natural. But again, I think they're trying to get us to practice drawing our accidentals. So here's our F natural. And then we need a C natural. So F, G, A, B, C. We're going to climb back up to a C natural. Stem goes up and on the right. And then finally, we're going to step down, B, A. Here's our A. And we need an A flat, so I'll put a flat sign in front of that. Stem goes up and on the right.